Hi. This feels very strange. I have not sat down in front of a camera and talked to it like this in over 2 years. It's already going so well. A lot has changed since the last time that you guys saw me. I got married. I moved out of my parents' house. We got a dog. We had a baby. In fact, if you can hear our child in the background like hiccuping and coughing, she is a little under the weather right now, so please excuse the sound. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a very different person than I was when I was still active on this channel. I'm gonna be just like getting ready while we talk. I don't really know like what this video is gonna be or what all we're gonna talk about. I have a few things I'd like to touch on, but we're just gonna see what happens, really. Like, I have no plan other than to try to get through it and just see what happens. I really don't know. My relationship with social media the past several years has been, it's been interesting. It's been kind of strained, I guess. I went from sharing publicly a lot of things on the internet. You know, obviously I was vlogging a lot of different stuff, pretty much every aspect of my life, really, I was vlogging. And I was posting on Instagram pretty frequently and just really like trying to keep up with what I thought a social media influencer should be. I even downloaded TikTok and started posting on TikTok different things, and obviously scrolled TikTok a ton. Really, ever since I got married, I just kind of decided that I didn't want to be that public anymore. Like, I didn't want every minute of my life broadcast for the whole world to see. I wanted to be more private. And so I just kind of stopped filming for YouTube altogether. I also just felt like things were always constantly changing in my life, and we were going through so many different like big life changes, like getting married and getting our own place, and I started a new job. That's something I forgot to mention. I started a new job, still with the same company that I was with, but I got a promotion and started doing something just entirely different in the company than what I was doing before. I don't know, YouTube just initially took a back seat, really, like to just the busyness of life. And then the more I thought about like picking up the camera again, the more I was like, do I really want to share like so much of my life on the internet? Because I don't know that I do. My husband is more of a private person, and I just kind of was like, yeah, I think that would be better for us, is just to be private. So I really stopped posting everywhere for the most part. I hardly posted on Instagram or anything like that. I did go through a little stint of like posting on TikTok when I started breastfeeding and just kind of talking about like struggles and things with that. Give me 1 second. So I pretty much just stopped posting on social media altogether. However, you know, I was still very much a consumer of media, specifically TikTok. I mean, all social media really. Like, I was always on YouTube, I was always on Instagram, Facebook. Those were really my main two. I was never really a Twitter gal, and I never got into like Threads or any of the other ones. I don't know. Pretty much just Instagram and Facebook, but I was on those platforms like constantly. If I wasn't scrolling TikTok for hours and hours and hours, I was checking Instagram. If I had gone through everything I could go through on Instagram as far as like stories and recent posts and stuff like that, then I was checking Facebook. Like, it was just constant. And I wasn't even a content creator anymore. I was just a consumer, but like, it was consuming me. And I knew this for a very long time. Like, I knew that my screen time was outrageous. I knew that I was addicted to TikTok specifically, and that a lot of things were, you know, falling to the wayside because I spent so much time on TikTok. I no longer had any hobbies or interests, or I don't know, I felt very disconnected from real life because life felt like it was in my phone. Like my whole life felt like it was on the internet, you know? Like even though I wasn't posting on the internet myself, really, my whole life was on the internet. Just, I could tell like that it was just having a really negative effect on me in general, as I'm sure that most people feel. Like most people know that social media is not good for them, but we never really do anything about it most of the time. I know some people do, and I've actually been discovering that a little bit more recently. A lot of us are just like, yeah, it's not great for us, but it's a part of life, and it's just how things are, and that's how we get all of our information and all of our entertainment, and there's just kind of no going back. At least that's kind of how I felt. And so for the past couple of months, it had just been really, I don't know, not sitting well with me. I started seeing more kind of deep dive videos about like the real uses for social media, the real reasons for it, the money making behind it, the ads, you know, obviously like we all know about those things, but we don't realize how deep it goes, I think, like consciously, like we don't think about it. We're just like, yeah, they feed us ads all the time, but that's just how it is. And when I started like kind of going a little deeper, I was just like, why am I accepting this? Like, why am I accepting the way that it makes me feel, the addictiveness, the constant being sold to, the constant comparison? Like I was always comparing myself to people online, and always feeling like I needed to buy X, Y, or Z because I was being advertised to, or because someone I was comparing myself to had it, or, you know, whatever. Like I really was having that like keep up with the Joneses like kind of feel, and started spending really irresponsibly. And like, if you don't know me, I work in finance, and I'm huge on financial responsibility and being debt-free and financial education. Like those are huge things for me, and I started spending really irresponsibly just because of like the influence of what I was consuming minute after minute after minute after minute. For months I was going back and forth with myself like, oh, I should delete social media. Like I should just do it. I would think of all of the reasons why it would be a good idea, and then I would think of the one or two reasons why, well, I might miss out. Like there's a TikTok creator that I really like to watch his live streams. He would go live almost every single day at the same time, and I had gotten to be friends with some of the people that like attended his live streams regularly. It was just kind of like a really nice little community, and I was like, oh, if I delete TikTok, then I'm gonna be cutting myself off from this little community that like I had found through this creator. As far as other social media, I was like, well, how am I gonna like know if something, you know, big happened in somebody's life, or like how am I gonna keep up with people, you know, like what if I want to check in on someone, or, you know, whatever. And so those like little small reasons would become my excuse to hold on, and I'd be like, yeah, no, those outweigh the negatives. That's what I would tell myself, when in reality, like, how am I gonna keep up with people? How am I gonna check in on people? Pick up the phone and call them? Or talk to them in real life? Like, you don't need to know every little thing that's happening in somebody's life, first of all. And second of all, if it's really that important, then just talk to them. Like, we have constant communication anyway between, you know, text and phone calls and FaceTime and all that. Like, just talk to them. I don't have to see it on social media. And ironically, it was actually a TikTok that I came across about money that ended up pushing me over the edge. And I made the decision right then and there. I was deleting everything. And not just deleting the apps, but deleting my entire presence on social media. like all of my accounts, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of it. And the TikTok, the gist of it basically was about like financial stewardship, and just basically talking about like a lot of us deal with financial stresses, financial hardships. You know, we'll pray about needing more money or needing less debt, or, you know, whatever the situation might be, but we aren't stewarding what we have well already. And so basically the gist was like, why would God give you more when you're not stewarding what he's already given you well? And that just hit me because I'm huge on financial responsibility and stewardship, but I knew that I was not stewarding well. Like, I knew that I was impulse buying and that I was overspending, you know, online shopping and TikTok shop, Amazon, all of that stuff. And I know like our financial situation could be better. Like, and that's something we've been like really working on this year especially. We have student loans, I have a car loan, we are renting an apartment, and we eventually would love to buy a house. You know, like we have goals and aspirations for our family, and so it just like, I was really feeling convicted. And even though social media doesn't necessarily directly tie into like good stewardship, I was just thinking about how social media has influenced my stewardship. It's influenced, you know, me to start spending more irresponsibly because I feel like I have to have, you know, whatever is being peddled on the internet. So that was one part of it, but then the other part of it was me thinking about how I steward my time, because I don't steward my time well at all, and I never have. I've never been good at time management. My husband and I joke all the time that like I'm good at money management and he's good at time management, because I just have no awareness for like getting things done in a timely manner, arriving somewhere in a timely manner. Like, I'm either super early or I'm late. Like, there's no in between. And even just like small menial tasks end up taking me like so much longer than they really should. And so I was thinking about how I'm always feeling like I don't have enough time to do anything, and then I'm like, okay, but is that true, or am I spending a ridiculous amount of time sitting on the couch wasting my life attached to my phone? And then I started just kind of spiraling about like, you know, when we're out in public, we don't talk to people. Like, we immediately resort to getting on our phones because it would be weird or awkward to talk to someone, and we feel less weird or awkward staring at our phone. And just like how much like the internet used to be an escape from our real lives, and now our real lives are an escape from the internet, because like the internet has become our lives. Like, that's where we live our lives, is online, because we're constantly connected. Yeah, it just all kind of hit me at once. So I deleted everything and really started, obviously except YouTube. I did not delete YouTube. I don't know, I look at YouTube a little bit differently. Obviously there's definitely aspects of it you can get sucked into now, especially with like shorts and everything, but I don't know, YouTube was like one of the originals, and it's long form content, and it's, I don't know, more like TV, and there's a lot less like comparison culture. I feel like commentary stuff is really coming back, and it's less like people showing off their big flashy lives, and I feel like you have a little bit more control over what you see on YouTube versus like TikTok and Instagram, because of like the For You kind of algorithm that they've developed, where, you know, I know YouTube still has a little bit of that, but I just feel like, you know, with your subscriptions and stuff, like, you just have a little bit more control over it, and it feels different, and it feels more creative. It feels less evil, I guess. I don't really know what the word is that I'm trying to say, but anyway, so I just deleted everything, and I started watching a bunch of YouTube videos of people who had also just completely disconnected. Like, even some to the point where they got rid of their smartphones and they ended up getting flip phones, and some companies now are making, like, they literally call them dumb phones, where They're like flip phones, but a little bit better. Like some of them have like navigation in them still, or like Spotify, but then nothing else. Like there's no like social media apps or like anything like that. I started watching these videos, or even just people doing experiments of like locking my phone in a safe for 30 days and living with a landline and only like a computer, like when the internet first came out and you had to actually log on to a computer and you weren't constantly connected 24/7, you could walk away from it. I mean, there was literally, when I tell you there was basically no downside that these people experienced, you know, other than maybe like the slight inconvenience of things that we have grown accustomed to, such as like navigation and stuff like that, but like that these people were so much happier, and a lot of them never went back. A lot of them did this experiment and then was like, my life is so much better this way. I don't feel the constant anxiety that I was feeling. I have more confidence. I have more genuine connections. I have more time. I've developed hobbies again, things that actually bring me joy. Just like all that stuff. And they were like, I'm not going back. Like, I'm never gonna go back. I don't know. I've just been really inspired by a lot of these people, because it just goes to show that like, just because it's become such a normalcy and such a big part of our lives now, and it feels like you literally can't live without it, you definitely can. And there's a huge benefit to living without it. I started going back and watching like my old YouTube videos, because for a long time like YouTube was my hobby. Like that's what I loved, that's what I enjoyed, because I was thinking about like hobbies and like what hobbies do I even have, because I don't, because I spend all my free time on the internet. And I was like, what kind of hobbies do I have? What do I enjoy? What do I like to do? And I was like, well, YouTube used to be a hobby. And again, I know that that's a part of social media, and I'm not like anti-internet. Like I'm not anti-tech and internet, but like social media has developed to an unhealthy place, and I think we can all agree on that. And so I started going back and watching my old YouTube videos, and I started remembering like how I felt in those moments and how I felt at that time and how excited I was about YouTube and about editing and like video creation, and how exciting it would be if I like thought a video turned out really well, or if I got like a really good shot. Or like how excited I was when I first got my camera. Like this camera now is so old. I've had this camera for years, and I watched the video where I unboxed it for the first time and like was so excited, and like when I finally figured out how to use it, you know, and I started getting into photography because I got a camera, and like that was so exciting. And I'm like, when was the last time I felt joy about something like that? Like about a hobby that wasn't just I need to scroll on TikTok so that I know what's like going on right now. And then I was like, you know, would I ever want to maybe start doing this again? And I was like, well, I don't know, because I still feel like I'm a very private person, and like I don't want to broadcast my life on the internet like that. And then I was like, but you know what, a lot of what I enjoy to watch now is not vloggers who like share their whole life. I do have a couple of those that I still enjoy to watch. I really like Jacqueline Brooke, and I really like Sydney Francis. Those are just some like OG YouTubers that I've watched for a long time, and I do really like their content, and their content revolves around like their life. But a lot of what I watch now is more like commentary style stuff. It's not really like influencers and like lifestyle stuff. It's really more commentary, and I really enjoy watching that kind of stuff. And those people are able to do what they do and create content that they love without sharing like all of their life. And I don't know, I feel like I've been craving a creative outlet, especially since deleting social media, because I feel like I went from deleting social media and not having that to spend all my time on to now what do I spend my time on? So I've just been consuming a lot more television and a lot more YouTube. And I don't necessarily know that that's like any better than wasting my time on like TikTok and Instagram. And like another big reason that like I wanted to move away from all of that as well was because I do have a child now, and I don't want her to grow up watching her mom and dad like this. and like learn that that's what is normal, and that that's what you do, is that you sit there like this all the time, and that you constantly have something on. Because like me and my husband have definitely become people who like have to have a video or a podcast or something playing at all times, no matter what we're doing. And that's like scary. That like we can't just be, like we can't just exist. We have to have something on. And I'm still working through that. Like I still very much have YouTube on constantly, or Netflix on constantly. And I'm like, maybe I can like push it to music, you know, because I feel like that's at least better to just have like music on, and then maybe I can like wean off of that, you know. Like I feel like I have to like literally wean myself down from constantly having things on and constant stimulation. But like I don't want her to grow up that way. I don't want her to grow up feeling like she needs constant stimulation and that she's gonna be glued to a device, because let me tell you, that it's gonna come a day when she's gonna do that anyway, because she's gonna be an adult and have her own life and make her own decisions. And just like how we didn't grow up with constant stimulation, but now we're all addicted to our phones, it's gonna happen to her eventually. And I just want her to at least have a chance of being able to function as a human being in this world without that. And I feel like if she's growing up, even if we don't give her those things, but if she's in a home where the people around her are constantly doing that, that's no better. Even though she might not have direct access, she's going to learn via us that that's just what you do, and that that's how people are, and that you are just always, you always need something to, you know, stimulate your brain, and you always need a phone in your hand or the TV on or something, you know. And I just don't want her to grow up learning that that's normal. And like time is already moving so fast, and she is already becoming more alert and aware, and like I've got to do something about this now, or else she's gonna start to notice that that's what we do. I just want better for all of us. I just think we are wasting our lives staring at our phones and being consumed by social media. I want us to be able to embrace the silence and embrace real connection with real people in real life. You know, when we go out, being able to like talk with people and meet new people and learn things about people, because we're not the only ones that exist on the planet, and we're not the most important thing in the world. We are all so self-centered, and we just don't care about others at all, myself included. Like I have become so insanely self-centered, it's not even funny. I want my family to be more aware and more thoughtful and more connective and more loving, and just to be able to embrace the beauty of the world that God created for us. And we're letting it pass us by every day to stare at a phone and stare at social media and be advertised to constantly and be sold to constantly and be lied to constantly. Why is that more fun? Because I'm really starting to realize that it's not. Like, and it's crazy because we're so addicted to it that our brains know that, but we can't let go. And like that's where I was for so long. Like I knew the reality and I knew the truth, but I just couldn't let go. Finally, just like ripping off the band-aid and doing it, I think is the best thing that I could have ever done, because now I am so much more intentional about these things. Like, don't get me wrong, I am not anywhere near where I want to be as a person, but I feel like I have a chance now, whereas like before I felt like it was never gonna happen because I was just so consumed by the internet. Anyway, what does all of that mean for this? I don't really know, to be honest with you. I don't really have a plan. I don't really have a goal or an outline or a structure or anything in regards to this channel. I just know that I miss my creative outlet. I know that I want to rekindle my hobbies and maybe discover some new ones. And this was a hobby of mine for a long time. Also, sidebar, when I was going back and watching my videos, I don't know why anyone subscribed to me. Like, I don't know how I got like 4,500 subscribers in the time that I did, because I was irritating. I was watching myself and I was like, people liked you? Yikes. I still feel like I have a fire and a passion for this somewhere, and I want to discover that again, but I feel like treating it the way that I started to treat it, which was like a business, killed that. And I'm trying to de-influence my hobbies because I feel like part of what social media has done is turned hobbies into like, it has to be a side hustle, it has to make you money, it has to produce something. The hobby either has to produce content or you have to sell whatever you make or whatever. Like, there's no just like hobby for enjoyment anymore. And I don't like that. I just want to do it for the love of doing it. And like, I'm not even in the YouTube partner program anymore. I didn't realize, it makes sense, but I didn't realize that like if you go so long without posting and without like bringing in views, they will just kick you off. That's not gonna be the goal. If it happens, great, but I'm not gonna post for views. I'm not gonna post for money. I'm not gonna post for anyone else but myself and for Jesus. I'm trying not to be tied to any one thing because I'm realizing too that like life changes constantly and circumstances change constantly, and it's never going to look the same today as it did yesterday. That's okay. I'm having to learn to be okay with change. All of that to say, I'm not going to be posting necessarily regularly. I don't know what I'm gonna want to share and what I'm not. I do know that I still want to keep most things very private because I think we way overshare on the internet, and that's weird. In my opinion, it's weird. I did finally post my wedding weekend videos. I had them private on my channel for a long time. Thanks for listening to me ramble if you did. If you didn't, that's okay too, because like I said, this is mostly for me. I don't know how to end this. Thanks for watching, and I may or may not see you again.